Children are so precious to us. They are our present, our future. That's why causing harm to a minor, whether a child, tween, or teen, is such an unthinkable crime. One of the most troubling facts is that abuse often takes place in situations both children and adults consider safe. Places like worship centers, schools, and camps. We must face the reality that there is no place immune to manipulative people who take away the innocence of our children. In fact, some of the places we think are the safest are actually the most vulnerable. That's because abusers prey on that vulnerability, taking time to earn the trust of others to get what they want. It can happen anywhere, anytime, and any place, even in the smallest, most tightly knit communities. Just like the time a deacon, a trusted community leader, was arrested for allegedly showing pornography to young boys on a weekend campout, or when a member of a congregation in a suburban community repeatedly molested a girl when he gave her a ride home from choir practice, or when a 14-year-old Sunday school volunteer took 3- and 4-year-old children to a private room to teach Bible verses where he would sexually molest them.
These are brief descriptions of actual claims seen by Church Mutual. You might think there's no way you could find yourself in this type of situation, but that's the exact type of thinking these policyholders had before they were faced with a lawsuit. I'm Todd Smith, an attorney with the law firm of Godfrey & Kahn in Madison, Wisconsin, and I deal with sexual abuse cases much like these. And in every circumstance, the policyholder was shocked that it happened to them. Many organizations never recover from these crimes because of the emotional, legal, and financial devastation that occurs. But that doesn't have to be you. There are steps that you can take to help minimize the risk of this type of unthinkable crime from happening under your watch. In this video, we'll help you understand what abuse is and the different categories that victims and their abusers fall into, specifically adult to minor abuse and a type of abuse that's growing rapidly, minor to minor abuse. Within each category, we'll help you understand what you can do to help prevent it, and there is much you can do, so let's get started. When one thinks of child abuse, the first thing that often comes to mind is a situation where an adult abuses a child or youth. Adult to minor abuse occurs when a minor is used for the sexual stimulation of the adult or other person. The exact definition varies by state, but there are two types. Touching, when physical contact is made, and non-touching, which includes using inappropriate language, either verbal or written, or exposing the child to inappropriate images. This can include comments and pictures on websites and social media, as well as emails and texts. Faith-based organizations like this one are particularly vulnerable to abusers. That's because the people here inherently want to trust others and see the good in people. But here's a fact. Serial sexual abusers know that. They're opportunistic and will depend on that. They understand that you rely on volunteers and that you might be uncomfortable asking them questions that seem intrusive and embarrassing. Abusers are master manipulators, and it's up to you to seek them out and stop them. Here's what you can do.
Screen your employees and volunteers. Effective screening diverts criminals and helps block convicted sex offenders. It is not unusual for a person who has been terminated at one worship center, school, or camp to seek employment or a volunteer position at another. While you should check with an attorney who can advise you of state laws about what can and cannot be used in the selection process, here are some best practices. All candidates should complete an application which includes the addresses of the applicant's current as well as previous residences, information about current and former jobs, including addresses, the dates of employment, titles held with a description of corresponding duties, and the reason for leaving. Education information, including addresses for the schools that were attended and degrees that were earned. References from employers and organizations that serve children. And, where allowable by state law, information about pending criminal charges or any criminal history. During your initial interview, have an associate participate. Get a second impression. Review all the statements on the application and ask about lapses in employment or reluctance to name a reference. After the interview, Contact all references and former employers. If you can't connect with them by phone, follow up with a written request. Prepare a written summary of all comments, even if they are just confirmation of dates of employment, and keep those responses in the interview file. Then, have a follow-up interview with the applicant to discuss discrepancies. Do not extend an offer to applicants with unexplained gaps. In addition to checking references, conduct a background check. It should include Social Security verification, a national criminal search, a state criminal search, a county criminal search, and a sexual offender search. Another effective prevention tactic is ensuring all employees and volunteers are properly supervised at all times. Install windows in interior walls of classrooms, and make sure doors are kept open. Do not cover the windows with decorations or artwork that block the view into a room. Require that activities be conducted in an open area or room, not a private office. Periodically inspect classrooms, offices, workplaces, and other areas where minors and adults are together to monitor for inappropriate situations. Also, check bathrooms, closets, and other areas. Require that any activities involving children or youths have a minimum of 2 adults present at all times, preferably unrelated. Minors should never be alone one-on-one with an adult. Youth group activities, such as mission trips, lock-ins, and other sleepaway events, create many opportunities for abuse to take place. Even older teens should always have the supervision of at least 2 adults. During sleeping situations, girls should be supervised by female adults, and boys should be supervised by male adults. One instance in which supervision is often lacking is in vehicles, especially vans and school-type buses in which activity is difficult to monitor. In this instance, be sure you have 2 adults actively supervising activity throughout the vehicle. You are accountable for children and youths from the time they arrive at your event until the time they leave. Sometimes abuse can happen before or after those events. This problem is more pronounced with youths, who sometimes tell their parents they will attend an event, but instead do something else with their friends that put them in an abuse-prone situation. Keeping check-in and check-out records can help prevent you from being liable if this should occur beyond your control. Make sure the parent or guardian of each and every minor signs his or her child or youth in upon drop-off and out upon pickup. Consider having a system in place for relatives who have permission to pick up a child. Helping prevent abuse is the responsibility of everyone in your organization, and proper training is key. Sharing this video with every adult within your organization, regardless of whether they work directly with children, is a good start. Training should occur annually, and records of who received training should be kept. It should include supervisory rules and adult-to-minor ratios. For best practices, check with your local public school district. Physical contact guidelines. For example, if you're going to hug minors, only hug sideways. Holding hands is fine, but only if the child is younger than 5 years old. And if touching a minor, only touch him or her on the arm, shoulder, or upper back. Never, ever anywhere that would be covered by a swimsuit. Training also should include guidelines regarding the transportation of children, specifying when and where offers are acceptable and by whom. As a general rule, no adult should ever be alone or unsupervised with a minor in a vehicle. Digital communications guidelines should be a critical part of your training. Digital media, including but not limited to emails, text messages, websites, social media, and apps, provide new opportunities for abusers to share pornographic materials and to carry out inappropriate relationships with minors long after organized and supervised activities occur. The content itself isn't always specific. In fact, it can seem innocent. but it's actually part of a grooming process used to gain trust or to set up in-person meetings. Here are some zero-tolerance policies to keep in mind. No adult, under any circumstance, should communicate one-on-one with a minor. Communications should be happening through the minor's parents or guardians. If communication must occur, other trained adults should be copied on the messages. Becoming friends on social media is common among youths, but adults should avoid such relationships. An appropriate way to stay connected with youths over social media is with an organization-wide presence. Again, no private messaging using these types of media should occur. Parents of children and youths should be made aware of this type of abuse and monitor their children's accounts appropriately. Training also should include information about what to look for to help you identify abuse that could be happening and how to report that. We'll cover that a bit later in the video. All of this information should be included in a written code of conduct, distributed as part of your training. Each and every employee and volunteer should read and sign the code of conduct. A copy of the signature should be kept on file. Parents should know about the code so they are on alert, and so they know you are as well. So, what should you do if a known sex offender joins your organization? This is a very real possibility, especially for religious organizations. While forgiveness may be a tenet of your faith, it is essential to follow certain precautions in order to protect children and youths. For one, be sure that attending services isn't in violation of their parole. In some instances, it is. If the person is legally permitted to attend services, establish a mentor or buddy system in which a trusted member of your congregation attends all services and events with the offender. You should also discuss the situation with your local attorney, as laws vary from state to state. And lastly, ask your insurance company if it has any special requirements when a known sex offender is in the presence of children or youths.
Earlier, I mentioned that minor-to-minor abuse is a growing area of concern, one that you must address. After all, adults aren't the only people who can cause harm to children or youths, and it's not just older teens who prey on younger children or their peers. We've also seen cases where children as young as 4 have been accused of exposing themselves to others. In fact, minor-to-minor abuse is increasing and accounts for roughly 25% of the claims Church Mutual handles. Many of the same prevention measures discussed previously apply, but here are a few of the differences. Screening is a bit more difficult with minors. They do not have the same work and volunteer history that adults have. You also cannot do criminal checks on minors because juvenile records are sealed. Nonetheless, minors should go through an application process which includes references, relevant classes or courses such as babysitting or CPR, any relevant volunteer experience and information about extracurricular activities, such as Girl Scouts, Little League, or any other social service and sports participation. A formal interview also should be conducted. As a general rule, volunteers in charge of supervising other youths and children should not be younger than the age of 16. In fact, the older the better. And if you or anyone in your organization has personal knowledge that an applicant or existing volunteer has prior accusations or convictions related to sexual behavior or violence, that person should not be considered any further. In most cases, abuse happens among minors when there's inadequate supervision. Just as an adult should never be left alone with a child, minors should never be left alone together, even in a case where an older youth is babysitting. Here are some actual situations in which abuse occurred when a youth or child wasn't properly supervised.
A mother noticed strange markings on her baby when changing a diaper after the child had been in the church's nursery, which was supervised by youth volunteers. While traveling to a youth activity, a 16-year-old boy enticed a 13-year-old girl to perform lewd acts in the backseat of a church-owned van. The only adult in the van was the driver. During an overnight lock-in at a church, a 15-year-old boy and a 14-year-old girl snuck away from the group. Subsequently, the girl claimed she was raped.
To help avoid these types of abuses from occurring, remember the rule of two. Always have two adults present wherever there are minors. Finally, just like adults, youth volunteers must go through an annual training and adhere to a written code of conduct. We're now going to talk a bit about how to spot abuse that might be happening and what you should do if you suspect something.
Here are some signs that abuse could be or already is taking place. Watch for volunteers or employees who might be spending one-on-one time with children or youths, either as part of your activities or outside your activities. This should never occur. Watch for volunteers or employees who seem to prefer spending time with younger children rather than their peers. Watch for excessive physical contact, whether it's appropriate or inappropriate. And keep a lookout for the following behaviors among children or youths, as they might indicate abuse. Watch for isolation, depression, or loneliness. Notice if there is an unwillingness to change clothes for gym or other activities. Watch for withdrawal, fantasy, or infantile behavior, as well as bizarre, sophisticated, or unusual sexual behavior or knowledge. Also, keep a lookout for poor peer relationships and delinquency, or a propensity for running away.
If you see something, you must say something. All states have mandatory reporting statutes, and in most cases, clergy are included in the list of people who are mandatory reporters. So get an understanding of your local law so you know what to do. There might be exceptions based on clergy penitent privilege, so if you're unsure of your duty to report, be sure to consult with your local attorney. You can also visit childwelfare.gov to learn more about the state statutes specific to your location. Failure to report when the law requires you to do so is a crime for which you could be charged and arrested. In order to accommodate reporting, appoint an adult leader to be the contact person for anyone who might need to report abuse. You should also appoint a backup person in case the main contact is the one suspected of abuse. Reporting procedures should be outlined in your written code of conduct and should include the following steps. First, notify the authorities immediately. If you have any questions about your reporting duties under state law, consult with an attorney. As soon as you become aware of an allegation of sexual misconduct, notify your liability insurance carrier. Be sure to get approval from the police before speaking with an accused adult or minor, or with an alleged victim. The police will likely want to conduct their own interviews first. An accused employee or volunteer should be suspended until the investigation is complete and should not be permitted to enter your church or facility. Employees should be suspended with pay. And lastly, be sure you're following any additional written policies you have when an allegation is made. Abuse to a child or youth, for most of us, is an unthinkable crime. But the fact is, if we turn a blind eye to it, we are a partner in the crime. For the sake of children and youths, as well as the health of your organization, please take these tips seriously. For even more information, Church Mutual offers free resources to its policyholders, such as a sample child and youth abuse prevention program and a comprehensive booklet titled Safety Tips on a Sensitive Subject, Child Sexual Abuse. They are available online at www.churchmutual.com. Please take advantage of these resources and incorporate them into your policies and procedures.
I'm Mike Ravin. Causing harm to a child is a truly unthinkable crime. Yet it happens every day, even in the most sacred of places. Together, we can do something to help protect the innocence of our children. I hope you'll take these recommendations to heart and use them to protect not only children and youths, but also the trust and confidence of your community. Thank you for your time and attention and for your commitment to doing all you can to protect your people.
Church Mutual Insurance Company offers brochures, videos, newsletters, posters, and checklists to help make your organization and activities safer for everyone involved. They are available to our policyholders at no charge. For a full list of materials, visit www.churchmutual.com.